Hello and welcome to the Ross Cloud Podcast. I'm your host, Car.Ross Sr. And this platform was created to motivate and to inspire in hopes that you will become a better you. You know, I like to always give a shout out to those that are listening and to acknowledge you all because you're taking the time out to listen to me. So as a kind gesture, I wanted to make sure that I said my hellos to everybody. And I usually do this at the beginning of each show. Some days I miss it, some days I don't. But for the most part, I try to make sure that I engage my audience by just letting them know it's just a small thought and a small word to say hello. So I want to give a shout out to my hometown, Winston-Salem, North Carolina. The Trefo is what we call it. And for those who don't know what the Trefo is, it's the 34th district. Do your research, do your homework, so you really know what Trefo means. In case you don't know, look it up at your leisure. The Trefo means we are the 34th district. All right. Shout out to Greensboro, North Carolina, which is now my home right here in the Gate City. Shout out to Charlotte, North Carolina. Shout out to Clemens and Louisville, North Carolina. Stand up, Rural Hall. I see you out there listening to a brother. Thank you for listening. Over there in the Raleigh-Durham area. Chapel Hill. Nightdale. I have some family out there in Nightdale. What's happening? I'm so glad that you decided to take the time to listen. I think I have some folks listening in Washington, North Carolina as well. Washington State, Washington, D.C. Over there, I'll take a trip over there to Cary, North Carolina. Take a trip down there to Columbia, South Carolina. Jackson and Thomasville, Wilson, North Carolina. You just in the building, you know. Let's go over there to Boardman. Thank you again, North Carolina, representing to the fullest, you know. South Carolina repping to the fullest. A shout out to Wilson and down there in Albany, Georgia. What's up, family? Down there in Clayton, Cornelius, Danville, VA, Douglasville, Georgia. Easton, Eden, Greenville, High Point, North Carolina, Jamestown, Kennesaw, Kernersville, Lawrenceville. What it do? North Wilkesboro. Right on. Oak Ridge. Shout out to Philadelphia. All right. Philly. Man, why don't y'all go over there and get some of those Geno's Philly steaks? Boy, I know all about them, baby. And make sure you get some of them sweet pepper and onions and tell them that the Ross Cloud Podcast sent you over there. What's happening, Geno's? Man, them Philly steaks are off the charts. If you hadn't had one, make sure you head over there. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Virginia Beach. What's happening? And I definitely have to speak to our folks abroad that are listening. Shout out to our Canadian brothers and sisters over there in Russia, over there in Belgium, right over there in Belgium, Brussels, Belgium. Yes, sir. Bonjour. Shout out to those that are listening in Senegal and the United Arab, over there in the Middle Eastern areas. Oh man, we have somebody listening in the Netherlands. Shout out to your family. Thank you for tuning in and listening. And hey, it's awesome. Down there in Mooresville and Muscle Shoals. I think we got some good folks over there in Boston, in the Bean Town. What's happening? Thank you for listening and tuning in to the Ross Cloud Podcast. And we hope that we can say something to you that can help you become a better you. And while I have you listening, I want to give a mad shout out to the Aaron T. Jones Jet Black Empowerment Foundation for show. They put a brother on, and I want to make sure I give a shout out to this. Aaron, we miss you. We love you, brother. And we always do this in remembrance of you. You are why we do what we do. So if you haven't had the opportunity, check out thejetblackempowerment.com. And if you want to team up with a great organization, it's a nonprofit organization, make sure you give them a shout out. Again, this is the Ross Cloud Podcast. And this podcast was created to motivate and to inspire. So my topic for today is love and hate. Let's get on into it. So yeah, I wanted to talk about love and hate on today. And the reason for this topic is because we see so much gun violence happening in our society on today. And I'm going to read some numbers to you, and then I'm going to go into my love and hate. You know, the world is we got a lot of good things happening, but we also have some bad things happening in our society on today. And as we continue to talk about gun violence, it's nothing new. Nothing is new under the sun. This is an old topic. This is a topic that has plagued our society, our world, for years. And so I'm going to give you a few numbers before I get into love and hate. And I want you just to think about this, our gun violence trends. So in 2021, I'm going to give you these numbers. Total numbers of mass shootings in 2021. In 2021, there was 693 total mass shootings. In 2020, there were 611. In 2019, there were 417 mass shootings. Total number of homicide, unintentional gun violence deaths, non-suicide, in 2021 were 20,889. In 2020, there were 19,508. In 2019, there were 15,485. That's the total number of homicide, murder, and unintentional gun violence deaths. 2021 was 20,889. In 2020, there were 19,508. And in 2019, there were 15,485. So we're going to move on down to total number of homicide, murder, unintentional gun deaths. As of April 17, 2021, that number was 5,451. As of April 17, 2021, there were 5,445. That's total number of homicide, murder, unintentional gun violence deaths. For 5,451, April 17, 2022. And there were 5,445 as of April 17, 2021. Total number of mass shootings, we're going to continue to move down. As of April 17th, 2022, there were 139 total number of mass shootings. As of April 17th, 2021, there were 148 mass shootings. Now, of course, some of these numbers have changed. And I guess the biggest thing is how can we change this narrative in our society? How do we get our lawmakers to see that, hey, there is a problem? And we know everybody knows their rights to bear arms and all of that. But at some point, how do we get those of us that have access to guns to become a little bit more aggressive when it comes to getting the knowledge out about weapons, how to use them? And we have to continue to talk about this discussion of our lawmakers and how they can come to an agreement, not fix half of the laws, but fix all of them, and continue to press those that are in charge of making sure that these gun laws are correct, and making sure that we get these guns out of these individuals who have mental illness. As we continue to talk about mental illness in our society, we just have a ton of things that we have to discuss as it pertains to guns. And I have yet to do my due diligence as a person who's bringing information to the public on this matter of guns. But I wanted to just open this up to kind of prick your mind on some upcoming dialogue that we are planning to have here at the Ross Cloud Podcast. But I wanted to kind of open up with that before I got into it. So let's think about that. Those that are responsible gun owners, we have to continue to educate ourselves and educate the public, educate those in a controlled environment, the importance of how to use a gun, how to clean a weapon, how to disarm a weapon, how to lock the weapon up, how to keep it out of hands that should not have these weapons. How do we do that? So lawmakers, you guys have a job to do. It doesn't matter. We're fighting over who's going to run, who's going to be the head of this. It's all about power. It's all about money and power. But people are dying in the process. So let's get right on into this. Put the guns down and let's love each other. So, of course, we and my co-hosts have talked about love before. But I wanted to add a twist to this, and it's love and hate. Two words. They have so much in common and so much emotion, but they carry two different meanings. The word love is defined as a strong affection for another, rising out of kinship or personal ties. Attractions based on sexual desires, affection, tenderness felt by lovers. The word hate is the direct opposite of love. It expresses an intense hostility and aversion derived from fear, anger, or a sense of injury and extreme dislike. The word hate, extreme dislike, we all should take a moment and ask ourselves who we are behind closed doors. Are we grumbling about someone's race, creed, or color? Are we gossiping about decisions that others make for their own lives, sexual preferences, religious beliefs? Are we talking about how many times a person has been divorced or remarried, or their political preference? Truth be told, we all have been hypocrites. We all have exhibited some form of hate and have not shown much love at some point in our lives. So I wanted to talk about these two words, love and hate. You know, the United States was founded on these words, or should I say these values, in God we trust. But if God is what we all value and God is love, then there's some hypocrisy that lies within mankind. You know, Michael Jackson has a song, as I would go off into a tangent real quick. Michael Jackson has a song. And it's time for change. It's time for us to look at that man in the mirror. You know, my mom and different family members, and just growing up, our elders used to say, if you got one finger pointing at you, then you got three more pointing back at you. That's a lot of fingers, right? So I digress. You know, slavery, per the history books, how racism today, today's definition is an issue that is ongoing and requires a more open dialogue. All people, among all people, that keyword, all people. Unfortunately, we still see racism happening in America. And I don't know about you, but I hate it. It is a black eye. It is a stain that's on America that continues to be a part of the very, very fabric of this country. Is there a trickle-down effect on people hating on each other regarding sexual preferences, lifestyle, political affiliations, police brutality, mothers, fathers, children, family conflicts, etc.? The list goes on and on with different forms of hate. However, until we deal with the core, there's no way we will all be healed as a people or as a nation. And I know we all can agree on this at some point in our lives. You know, I was brought up in a pretty much a traditional home with Christian values, base values. I can't say that I've done everything right in my life. I'm still a work in progress like most of us. But, you know, we're living in the last days, in my opinion, because we see the things that are happening around our world today, whether you believe it or not. These are perilous times that we live in, and I hope that we all can find a way to whatever your belief system is, find a way to pray, to sit back, relax, meditate, whomever you pray to. And then start holding up that sign of peace and begin to love one another. You know, I remember being in the military and firing the M16 for the first time. Imagine that. The actual release was amazing to me, as I expected the kickback or recoil to be more powerful. As a bullet was released from the chamber, boom, it entered the target small, but exited as a much larger hole. You know, when I think about racism and hate, and metaphorically, I think about that bullet and how it entered. Hate starts off small. It enters small. It enters when you're a child or when you're young. But boy, when it exits out, it's pretty big. It leaves a massive stain, a massive hurt. You know, once the target audience has been impacted by the bullet, and I'm referring to racism metaphorically, if it is not repaired, then it only festers and becomes larger. This is happening in America today. So many people talk about love and being kind. Love begins at home, and it starts with treating your neighbor right. You know, love your neighbor as yourself. You know, don't covet your neighbor's stuff. You can ask to borrow it. Now, they might not let you borrow it. But don't covet their stuff. Just love your neighbor anyway. It starts with every aspect of life, showing love and being kind. You know, when I was younger, I remember a time when we could walk and we could walk and talk to and help an elderly lady across the street. Now, I'm sure we still see that from time to time. You know, I'm the oldest sibling, so I remember when my father was in the military and we were living on a military base. During that time, it was I want to say mid-70s, early 80s. We lived in Columbia, South Carolina. We stayed on post, and that was on Fort Jackson. That was Fort Jackson, South Carolina. We stayed on post, and then we moved off post. We were exposed to having friends of all nationalities, but we were taught not to forget to love ourselves, to love being black, to love other black folks. And that's okay. It's okay to love yourself, because if you begin with loving yourself and your family members, then it's going to be easy to love others. Am I right about it? Just a thought. Caucasians, Hispanics, German, you know, it was a melting pot. It's a melting pot when you're on a military post. It's a melting pot, period. But on a military post, it just was different. It's all races and creeds, and it was just cool. It just was a cool time. I remember her neighbor who kept us. She was a very nice older Caucasian lady, and my mom left us in her care while she would go to work. Now, the only downside to that was she had a lot of cats. Now, that's no diss on anybody who likes cats, all right? I'm a pet lover, too. I'm just not in a position right now where I can afford to have a pet right now. But I'm a pet lover, too. And believe it or not, I even like cats. One of my favorite cats is the American Shorthair. Such a gentle, kind, and easygoing feline. But at that time, I was younger, so I didn't know anything about pets because I didn't grow up with pets in the home. So, you know, far as I was concerned, that was the only downside at that time while I was a younger kid. The point I'm making is it would be nice if we could get back to those days. But as I mentioned before, it seemed like this race thing continues to resurface, which lets me know that the true healing that has been a part of our society has not been treated, and it's still been festering. You know, I'm so surprised that we are still having this issue, being that we have a Martin Luther King Jr. monument in the National Museum of African American History Culture. And again, I'm referring to race because it is a part of the emotion hate. And yes, I'm referring to Black America because I'm black and that's all I really know. But I am not ignorant to say that there are black, there are white, there are Asian, there are Hispanic. We all can have some racism in us. So I digress. We have the National Museum of African American History and Culture, but both are located in Washington, D.C. We have tons of black millionaires and billionaires and all of these rights and privileges, but not just for us as a people, but for all mankind. As of today, so much progression has happened in the world, but we still are talking about racism and hate in America. And hate and racism goes together. Hate, racism can even be a part of our community, black folks. As I talk to our people, why do we hate each other? Why are we still having problems with the dark-skinned brother and the light-skinned brother? Or the light-skinned sister and the dark-skinned sister? There's hate even within our own community. Hate and racism is not limited to just white and black. We have attack on Asians. We have attacks on the LGBTQ community. We have attacks on just about every doggone thing we see happening. Attacks on Muslims, on Christians, on Buddhists, on whatever it is. We have a problem in our society. What that tells me is that there is a heart issue in mankind and in America. We still have police brutality going on. Why are children shooting up our schools? Why has prayer been taken out of our schools? And I know we got rights and nobody's trying to force their religion on anybody, but my God, what if we could all just have a united day of prayer and peace in our schools daily? Whatever you believe in, whether it's just you have a quiet time in the schools, a time of meditation, a time for you to pray to whatever God you believe in, but peace is what we're after. Peace is what we want. There's so much going on in the world today. We all should just take a little bit of time and reevaluate ourselves and sweep around our own front door. We need to look at ourselves and change who we are as individuals. And remember, as I talk to you, I talk to myself. Change starts from within. And I think once we are able to accomplish that, the transformation of becoming a better individual begins. We will see a difference in the world that we live in on today. Listen, I'm no expert, but I do say that whenever something is happening on the outside, then it's possibly a battle on the inside. If it's a heart issue, there are some things that you have not dealt with. What is the reason that you exhibit the hate again? I don't mean to be repetitive, but we just want to see change happen in our society, and it begins with you and with me. Who have you helped? Who have you helped out today? Have you encouraged anybody today? Have you given someone less fortunate a helping hand? Let's begin to love and drown the hate so that not only can we move forward as a country, but as a people across the world. Now listen, of course, I can't leave you and not give you some tools, a few tools that can help you cancel out hate and begin to exhibit love. Number one, we hear Ellen DeGeneres say it all the time. Be kind. Something as simple as that. Be kind. Number one. Number two, apologize. And I know that's a tough one for some folks. Apologize. Number three, forgive. Number four, be patient with one another. Number five, keep your word. Honesty. Treat people right. Please, Lord, please don't lie. Again, honesty. Something as simple as saying, number seven, simple Something as simple. Number 8. Something as simple as saying please and thank you. Have you ever taken the time, number 9, to converse with someone you don't know? Someone who doesn't look like you. A different person. Someone with a different sexual preference. Someone with a different color. Someone who has different political views than you. Someone who doesn't like the same food that you like. Converse with someone you don't know. And number 10, one that has truly changed my life, and that's serve your community. No matter how large or how small, find a way to link up with a nonprofit organization in your community and serve. And hey, listen, I got a great organization that you can come serve your community with. And that is the Aaron T. Jones Jet Black Empowerment Foundation. Shameless plug. But I'm still very connected with the Aaron T. Jones Jet Black Empowerment Foundation. Check out their website, thejetblackempowerment.com. And in me ending, I'm a person that always like quotes. I love quotes. Quotes are big. And this one is by Nelson Mandela. No one was born hating another person because of the color of his skin or his background or his religion. People must learn to hate. If they can learn to hate, they can be taught to love. For love comes more naturally to the human heart than its opposites. So listen, I hope that I have said something on today that can help you become a better you. Listen, I am Car.Ross Sr., and this is the Ross Cloud Podcast. Make it a great day, and keep being great. And remember, if it is to be, it's up to me. Dream it and do it. Peace.